Hey there, I'm Dayna Johnson, dental practice management expert, certified Dentrix trainer, and founder of Navoni, revolutionizing the dental industry through innovation and strategic leadership. It wasn't long ago that I lived in your shoes, navigating the daily challenges of managing a dental practice with the hopes and dreams of having a productive schedule, money in the bank, and getting home on time to my sweet daughter. After 25 years working in the dental practice and 17 years as a certified Dentrix trainer, I found my life's work, helping dental teams one-on-one, optimizing their systems and software. If you are looking to create the thriving dental practice you have always dreamed of and empower your high-performing dental team, you are in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome, my friends, to the High Performing Dental Team podcast. And I have Claire Dickinson on the podcast again today. She is my most requested guest. And if you go to our YouTube channel, she actually has her own playlist. So you can go and watch all of Claire's interviews and learn all of the amazing things that she loves to talk about. So welcome, Claire, to the podcast. You didn't know that you were so popular, did you?
I was quite surprised. Yes, I feel like I need to go check this out.
As you should. See how many subscribers you have. And so Claire and I are going to talk today about software transition. So this is a podcast for the doctor who has decided that you are going to change softwares. Maybe you're moving your software into the cloud, or you are transitioning from a different practice management software, or maybe a third-party software. Whatever you're doing, you've already made the decision. You've gone through the demos, and now it's happening. And now you need to get your team on board, because once the doctor has made the decision to change softwares, we need to get the team on the bus, right? Yeah. So I remember, I'll tell my story, like 20 plus years ago, when my own practice, we transitioned softwares from an old archaic, this was 20 plus years ago, people. So old DOS based software. Yeah. And I mean, you remember C:// whatever we had to do.
I don't remember that at all, Dayna.
You don't? Oh, come on.
I'm trying to not date myself.
I date myself all the time, especially when we talk about our kids and how old my daughter is. And so I date myself every day. So I think everybody knows how old I am.
Yes, me too.
When I was changing softwares in my own practice, it was hard. We decided to transition from this company called DIS, Doctor's Information System, DOS-based software, to Dentrix. This was after I did demos with EagleSoft and Dentrix and Genesis. We did decide to go with Dentrix, and which is why I am where I am today, of course. And I had like one day of training, and we didn't have the whole like preparation. We didn't know how to prepare. We didn't know back then, we just wing it. We just, we just knew that we were going to have new software on Monday, and we didn't have any kind of team meeting and preparation and onboarding. And, we didn't have any of that. And so, I feel like I could have done it so much better. I had a very terrible experience onboarding with my Dentrix software. And if you've ever heard me speak from the stage and I give that story, you know that I almost sent Dentrix back. Like, I still have the letter I gave to my sales rep that said, I want to return it. I wanted to return Dentrix. I hated it so much.
Yeah.
And so my experience was not good. And so what I want to talk about today with you, Claire, is how can we help our teams have a better experience when they're changing softwares? Because the reason I wanted to have you on today was because you're going through it right now. Mm-hmm. As everyone knows, Dentrix Enterprise does have an end of life, and they are transitioning everyone over to Dentrix Ascend. And so your office, you have a 3 practice location that you are currently working in, and you are going through that transition right now.
Yes.
And so tell me how that experience has been so far.
Oh, we are, how would I describe us as a group? Some of us in the leadership team, that I would include myself in this too. I am not go with the flow. I'm a little bit of an agitator, and no, I need to understand the why. Why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? Walk me through this, and not to a point that's annoying. You know how you have those annoying people. They're like, why? Not like that. But you also want to do your due diligence and make sure that you're asking questions that you're making an informed decision about what you're going to do. So we had known about the Dentrix Enterprise end of life for probably a couple of years now, and we kept saying no. But then we started to notice certain things about support with Dentrix Enterprise, and so it was kind of like Dentrix is great, Henry Schein is great. But I'm wondering if there's a little bit of silent quitting on the support side of Dentrix Enterprise. So we're like, okay, we have to make a push. Anyways, we accepted what our fate was. We did vet some other companies, yet we came back to Dentrix Ascend as our software of change. So I think, that once the decision was made, before introduction to any of the teams as a leadership group, we needed to decide what our change initiative was going to look like. And what responsibility we had at the top to show and mimic the behavior that we wanted to see with our team members, and set up things in a way that, as far as training and integration and who was involved in, like, when they do site review, to do the workflow analysis to make sure they're mimicking Dentrix Enterprise and Dentrix Ascend. Although the name is similar, it is a completely different software. So there will be a considerable learning curve. But I do think that even though the learning curve is great, the software in Ascend is more intuitive because we're much more tech savvy, all of us today, than where Dentrix Enterprise is today, if that makes sense. It's a little bit of an archaic system. So I do think the transition is going to be easier than what we think it is. However, knowing that the players that we have on the team, we then had to further think, okay, what's change management going to look like for these people and for these people? And then we had to take some time to structure what this was going to look like, right? And so I might have gotten off track there a little bit, but to answer your question, it's a fun project. It's not without frustrations, right? Because we just want to keep doing things the way we want to keep doing things.
For sure.
I would say always keep your eye on the opportunity that's out there. And when you were saying, I remember when I changed from this system to Dentrix, I wanted to tell them to take it back. Looking back, Dayna, I can sense you still have a little PTSD from it, right? However, looking like as far as you've come and what you've learned along the way, we all adapt to change, whether or not we want to or not, or how painful it is or not. It is inevitable. So I encourage everyone, and you did the same, is you have to adopt uncertainty, and you have to find that inner strength to know that you're going to be resourceful enough to figure it out. And then you need to build your leadership team around it to where they support your team for all the people who learn differently in how to adopt this, right? You can't, it's not a one size fits all kind of process. And, I would say that more than anything, the underlying tone of the conversations that I have with the team is, we will get through this together. There will be light at the end of the tunnel. This will be a great opportunity for us because it will reduce X, or it will improve efficiency here. Or so, I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna about the situation, but truly focus on what you want your outcome to be. Have constant meetings about you do have to meet a lot about restructuring as the process goes and the implementation goes. So you can, project management is not a one-time thing. It's you got to revisit constantly until you get to the completion of the project.
Yes. I like what you're saying, because a lot of offices, a lot of teams, they dive right into the training, right? Because they don't go through the preparation stage. That why, like you talked about, your first question was, why do we need to do this?
Yeah.
And so I think bringing awareness to the team and getting them on board in the beginning, even before you have training. Because a lot of times one of the mistakes that offices do is they dive right into training. And then the team is like, well, I don't even know why we're doing this. I'm out. They're going to fold their arms and they're going to be like, I'm out. And then the training is a waste, and so I do like what you said about, okay, why is this going to be good for us? Why is this going to be good for our team? Why is this going to be good for our business and our patients? And so I think that awareness for the team is really important.
Yeah. And, Dayna, one thing to add on that is the reason why most projects fail is because it's not that we need to know every step of the process to get us to the end of the project. It's that no one knows, I don't want to say no one. A lot of times that projects fail is because we don't have constant conversation about the direction of where the project is going and why. We don't know how to effectively do change management. So understanding how change management works and how to encourage engagement and collaboration and buy-in from people is probably the most critical part to the whole thing.
Yeah, agree.
It is the most important part.
Agree. In fact, we were talking about this before we came on. So
yeah.
So when I first became a trainer in 2005, a couple years after my initial training, we were given this book. All trainers were given this book. And if you don't have this book and you're going to go through a software transition, you should get this book. Okay, so
did you know that you could increase your team's productivity by up to 200% if you had a formal team training program in place? And businesses that do have a formal team training program in place also enjoy up to a 24% increase in profit margin. If you want to learn how and book a call with me, click on the show notes and book a free discovery call with me, and we will talk all about it.
Because the A stands for awareness, and then the D is desire. So, which is exactly what we were just talking about. You have to bring the why, and you have to get the team on the bus before you can even do the K, which is knowledge, the training, right? So I want to hear a little bit about how you have designed your training schedule. What's that going to look like?
Well, our transition is going a little bit slower because we like to do things big. And so we're doing a practice expansion at the very same time in one of our largest locations.
Of course you are.
Yeah, of course we are. So we actually haven't started our training with our teams yet. This week, at the end of this week, which is the first week of our practice build out, we are doing our workflow analysis. So we are taking key team members of our group across all of our locations, and we're having I'm gonna plug her. Jamie Westfall is gonna
Jamie.
She's gonna do our workflow analysis, which I was so happy that we got her. Anyhow, she will remotely watch all of these key players, and then her and I will meet about the key things that we need to mimic as much as possible. From there, we will have a better idea of what it will look like as far as recommendations for training, both on the remote level for our team members, but then also our in-person that we're doing the first or the second week in April. So it really comes down to this next week and what it's going to look like as far as our workflow analysis and the things that, the information we gather there. So I would love to better answer that for you, but that's where we're at in the process.
No, I think that gives everybody a really clear picture of that. You're not just scheduling a day of training and everybody's going in blind. You're not going in blind, really not knowing what's happening. You are doing kind of an assessment of what is your current workflow and how are we going to adapt that training schedule to your current workflow. So it's not like the trainers are coming in with this set, just put a square peg in a square box or whatever,
Yeah.
they're really tailoring it more towards your workflow.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's really important that everybody listening knows that when you are putting a training schedule together, you don't want something that's just this agenda for the masses. You want an agenda that is built for your practice.
Yeah. I would encourage to, I'm sure most of us can relate to the conversations that we've had with our doctor owners. Like, we can't shut down. Like, it costs us too much to meet. I get that, but when those conversations come up, I want you to think of what the value of that time is, both in the short term and the long term. So yes, let's say we lose 2 days of production. That's very costly to the practice.
Mm-hmm.
However, inefficiencies in people's knowledge and the knowledge gaps that are created because we don't take the time to have the training in place, and we don't take the time to do these workflow analysis, which is a standard for Dentrix or Henry Schein 1. So it's part of it. But when you don't take that time to plan the way that we are, it will actually cost us more than losing 2 days. It will cost us a lot more. And in the fact that, Dayna, you and I both know this. When Dentrix first came out and we started with Dentrix, we didn't even use a quarter of the software, its capabilities, right? It's because the idea then was, if the spaghetti sticks to the wall, we're good to go. That was the training. We hoped, okay, right? But wouldn't it be great if the people that needed to know certain aspects of Dentrix Ascend or whatever software you use were fully trained in that section of it, so where they could fully utilize the software?
Yeah.
How much more efficient and valuable they become as employees or members of the team because they're maximizing their software. They're maximizing those opportunities.
Agree. Yeah, 100%. I think that's another mistake that doctors make when onboarding a new software is not including the entire team in the process of training, because there are so many aspects of running a dental practice that involve the entire team. When I go into a practice and I go into an office for 3 days, shutting down the office for a day, that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I won't even go into an office and do a full day unless they shut the office down.
I prefer that too when I do a site visit.
Yeah, 100%, and because the value that they will get from that is immeasurable. I mean, it's and having having the whole team in the room at the same time, learning the same things at the same time, being able to ask questions. I love it when my clinical team will pose a question that the admin team hadn't even thought of.
Correct.
And it's just eye-opening. It really brings a whole nother level to the process.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a must, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's an embedded must.
Agree. And so right now you have you've kind of gone through the why. You said that you've been having team meetings throughout this process since you've been doing the demos. You did demos with other software, so you had the team on board with the why. This is why we're doing this. You've been keeping everybody informed about the timeline.
Yes.
And then you have your training schedule all built out. And then what do you think? I know it's hard to predict, but what do you think that after checklist is going to look like? Will you have follow-ups after that? What do you think that's going to look like?
Well, I think for this particular company, I think the areas will be different depending on the positions within the team. Yeah. I do predict that change will be hardest for our doctor clinical team members because they are technical experts in the field that they're in, and they don't want things to get in their way. But it is something that they're going to have to adopt as well. And I think that that's probably where the most amount of support will be for them. I have a prediction that our clinical team members, like our hygienists and assistants, will actually be the early adopters. Right?
Yeah.
And I think our business team members will as well in their respective locations. So it will depend on, after we do our 2-day training and then we go into what's called our soft start and, what that will look like, because we still will have Dentrix Enterprise. There will still be some data that will not convert over. So we'll have both. And, it will be the support, I'm sure, with the clinical doctors that will require a lot more attention.
Yeah. Yeah. If I go back to my book, change management book, the R in ADKAR is reinforcement. Yeah. And so, after you adopt and onboard a new software, you will need to have those reinforcement sessions, those follow-up sessions, those check-ins, tell me how you're doing, tell me how you're feeling. Let's walk through this together.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times team members will shake their head yes when they really don't get it. And because they're too embarrassed to ask, or they're too embarrassed to say that they don't get it because everyone else on the team is getting it, but I'm not, And so I think it's important that we make sure that we have created a safe space, for people to come and say, I'm really not getting this.
Yeah. And that goes for any kind of change, right?
Yeah.
Software or otherwise, for sure.
Yeah. So, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, this was really a great conversation. My gosh. And it's so relevant because I feel like I get this question a lot about, should I change softwares? What is this one like? And then I just feel like with the end of life with Enterprise, those offices are transitioning right now. And so this conversation was very relevant to our day right now.
It is. Dayna, like with our world, technology is moving so faster
oh my gosh,
than ever seen
crazy
before. So I would encourage everyone to build up some thick skin and love the idea of uncertainty because it's there. And the quicker you can adapt to that being comfortable in that space, I think the better that you will do individually to position yourself in your profession, personally and professionally or whatever, because it used to be that we changed software like never.
Yeah.
Now things are happening so fast that tomorrow we could have a completely different engagement platform that is emerging. And so I think we're going to be faced with a lot more choices, a lot more frequently, a lot more programs that provide efficiencies for us that we can't ignore. It becomes too good to ignore. So strap in, be comfortable, because uncertainty is our new world in this regard with these changes.
I know. I always say I've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's going to happen with or without you. So
yeah. Agreed. But I think that we gave everyone like some really good strategy for onboarding new software. What does a transition look like? How can you best prepare for success and not jumping in too quickly, having a really good plan and getting the team on board and making sure that they're a big part of it. The team is a big part of it. The doctor makes the final decision, but the team is really the one that's going to be the ones onboarding it, using it, training on it, all of that. And so I think that's important.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, say they're going to be going through a software transition and maybe they wanted to ask you some questions,
call Dayna.
Or they wanted to maybe talk to you about working with their team. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Dayna, you can put my email in the podcast here. Okay. And then, my direct contact is my phone number. Usually that's the best way for people to text me. It is my business line. Okay.
Great. Well, I always enjoy having you on. It's always a good conversation.
Yeah, it is for sure.
All right, my friend.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day. And for everyone listening, I look forward to watching your journey of becoming a high-performing dental team.